A simple disagreement begins, and before a single word is resolved, you are suddenly met with total isolation. Modern social etiquette often frames this silence as a cooling-off period or a necessary boundary used to de-escalate a heated moment. But for narcissists and other dark personalities, this withdrawal is a proactive choice used to reclaim dominance and punish defiance. This sequence typically begins when a partner sets firm boundaries, asks for accountability for a lie, or questions the manipulator's behavior. The manipulator responds by deleting the victim from their environment, abruptly severing all physical affection and verbal communication. They look right through the other person, maintaining a vacant stare that suggests the victim has effectively vanished from the room. This initial deletion creates a sudden, intense panic, forcing the victim to navigate a reality where they no longer exist in the eyes of the person they love. This transition into emotional sensory deprivation marks the beginning of a period characterized by total uncertainty. Without an explanation for the silence, the victim's brain enters a state of hyperarousal, replaying every recent interaction on a loop to find the mistake that caused the shutdown. While the victim spirals, the manipulator remains calm, using the display of panic as confirmation of their own influence and control over the situation. This creates a unique form of claustrophobia, the sensation of being entirely alone, while simultaneously being actively monitored by the one person who refuses to speak. The intensity of this experience raises a biological question. Why does the simple absence of sound cause such acute, visceral suffering? This diagram highlights the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the primary alarm system for physical distress and social exclusion. In side-by-side data overlays, the neural signature of social rejection is identical to physical trauma. Both trigger the exact same responses here. To the human nervous system, being deliberately ostracized by a bonded partner is the biological equivalent of being physically struck. By utilizing this neurological overlap, the manipulator inflicts a form of invisible violence, causing real, measurable pain without ever having to touch the victim. When the biological pain of rejection becomes unendurable, the victim enters a state of total submission. At this breaking point, the need for relief overrides the need for truth. Victims frequently find themselves apologizing for imaginary slights just to end the isolation. They abandon their original boundaries and stop asking for accountability, prioritizing the restoration of the connection over their own personal safety. Communication is eventually reestablished, but the return of the manipulator's voice always comes with a steep, hidden psychological cost. This cycle functions as a form of covert conditioning, shifting the victim's behavior through the fear of future pain. Over time, the victim learns to suppress their own voice and ignore the lies, instinctively knowing that any pushback will trigger the return of the agonizing silence. The manipulator successfully secures the victim on an invisible leash, where the mere threat of another withdrawal is enough to maintain total compliance.